Good morning, everyone. There's my contact information in the chat. Sam Stouros, connectedcars.ca. I was going to talk about turbocharged engines, the proper care of them, but Tony reminded me of something that just happened the other day. Customer comes to me and says, I need brakes front and back in my vehicle. And I said, yeah, I can do that, and gave him a price. And then he came back to me and said, well, I'm going to buy the parts. So how much would you charge me to install them? And I said, well, I don't prefer to be doing that kind of stuff because I don't know where you got the parts from. But I gave him a price. I usually put on my receipt, customer supplied parts just to cover my, what. Anyway, he comes back to me and says, can you do it for $400? Front and back brakes. I said, no, no, I'm not going to do it for $400. Anyway, he says, well, I'll get somebody else. And I said, well, you better be careful because, brakes, you can get your car, if your engine stops, you can't go anywhere, but if the brakes don't work, it's a good chance you're going to end up causing an accident. So I warned him that, going by price alone is a risky business, especially when it comes to brakes. And just the other day, I had a customer who came to me, said that they needed brakes done, came to me and said they needed the front brakes done. I took the car tires off, and sure enough, they needed front and back brakes done. And they replied to me, well, I just got my back brakes done not even 2 years ago. And I said, well, how many kilometers have you got? And she said 50,000 kilometers, around that. And I said, well, that's not normal. It should last about double that. She says, oh, yeah, one of my neighbors did it for me as a favor. But there's your problem. Anyway, I took them apart, and sure enough, they had pushed the brake pads into the caliper housing, jammed them in there real tight. That's not how you properly put in brake pads in a disc assembly. Jamming them in there just makes them tight, and of course they don't release from the rotor, and they wear down exactly how she did it, and lost basically half the wear of the proper brake job done. So exactly what you said there, Tony. You can go by price alone, but you can end up regretting that and maybe even it cause an accident. So be very careful when it comes to who you get to do the work on your car.